All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. This is a fun topic. I've had a chance to share this in a couple other forums. Um, Video marketing has just really become a really powerful way for small businesses to grow their footprint. It's an option that wouldn't have been available maybe 5 to 7 years ago, or would have been quite expensive. And it's now far more affordable. And it's just the way that the market's going. So I've got about a dozen clients who are actively doing the things that are listed here in this video, and we can talk more in the Q&A, but they're all seeing really great results across their search presence, their overall business growth, and things like that. So I'm excited to share these concepts with you. Diving right in here, I want to cover first a couple of things that we see, some results that we've seen industry-wide. So these are two studies, one from WordStream and one from iView. But this one showed that an email that gets an email that has a video inside of it, when you send an email to a client or to a potential client with a video, it gets a 96% better click-through rate than just images and text. Another one is that video drives a 150% increase in organic traffic from SERPs. So SERP stands for Search Engine Results Page. So if you have a video on your landing page or on your website somewhere, and that gets picked up in the search engine results page, you'll see that you'll see a 150% increase on average in traffic from search engines like Google and Bing and things like that. And we'll talk more about that later. Using video on landing pages. So if you have a service page or a landing page for some of the work you do, you'll see on average an 86% increase in conversion is what these studies show. We see that for my clients too. And then this is the one that's probably most exciting for me for small business owners, and that's mobile shot stories and ads have a 63% chance of outperforming studios. And this was from about a year or two ago. I think it's probably a little higher now. So what that means for you is the videos that you can shoot on your smartphone, which is the topic of today's presentation, have a better chance of performing in terms of the results, the click-throughs and things like that, than if you went out and got, a super expensive camera and shot something that looked very heavily commercial. So that works well on TV, but on the internet space, actually, the things that are organic, the things that feel like an owner or an expert created that just for their audience are going to perform better. So you actually have a chance as a business owner, if you have a smartphone, to outperform businesses with much larger marketing budgets if you can put some energy and effort into a video marketing program. All right, so we've got 5 steps we're going to walk through. First, strategizing. Then we're going to talk about setting up and capturing some of the technical elements. We'll talk about performance, so how to get rid of some pre-video jitters and just how to maybe sound better on camera. And then we'll dive in and we'll talk a little bit about how to edit a video. Actually, we'll talk about editing right on your smartphone, so some basic editing concepts, and then how to edit on your smartphone. And then finally, we'll wrap up and talk about how to publish or promote the video content. All right. So first of all, in the strategy session, I want to back up a little bit and talk about the marketing funnel. So if any of you have taken Marketing 101 or been involved in business for a while, you're aware of the marketing funnel. So you might see, attention, interest, desire, action, or, know you, trust you, buy from you. There are a lot of different ways of talking about this, but the core concept is that there's a buyer's journey that your customers go through. So they're going to first have to discover your business, hear about your business somehow. Some of them might buy right away, but in a lot of cases, when you watch the marketing efforts, you can see that there are a couple interactions that they'll have to have. So an initial interaction, they'll find your business or discover your business. Next, they're going to build trust with your business. So they're going to decide that you're probably someone they can, rely on, someone they might want to work with. And then ultimately, there'll be another action where they decide to buy from you. So, service businesses, product businesses, e-commerce, restaurants, across the board, you can chart the marketing journey through a marketing funnel. There's a lot that's been written about that. I kind of simplified the funnel here to find you, trust you, buy from you, which is relevant for a lot of local businesses. And the nice thing about video is there's an opportunity to create video at every stage of this funnel and to use video to easily move people through the marketing funnel or through the buyer's journey. So awareness videos, there are videos that we'll talk about creating that address early phase research and questions. We'll talk about how to find those. Connection videos, once someone's heard about your brand and they're kind of in your network, or they've just kind of loosely heard of you, but maybe have never really connected with you through social media or signed up for a newsletter, those kinds of things. There are videos you can create that will establish trust, establish you as an authority in your space, and make them want to at least follow you more closely. Maybe sign up for a newsletter, follow you on social, those types of things. And then buy from you. Even if they do connect with you, but they're not a customer yet, there are videos that you can use to move potential buyers to action, to make them actually, make the purchase, sign up for a demo, something like that. All right, so we're going to dive into, first of all, how do you know what topics, what to say on these videos? The first step with video is going to be just ideation, brainstorming, finding the videos you should talk about. And in this case, my favorite tool, the free tool that is very data-based, data-backed, is Google. So what I recommend for most of my clients, and it works, quite well, is just literally opening up Google, go to google.com and type in the service you provide. So I use patio installation here as the example, but you could use anything from financial advisory, real estate, finding a real estate agent, buyer's agent, that kind of stuff, down to plumbing, etc. But just type the service you provide. And what's exciting is Google right away is going to tell you, is going to put some search suggestions up. And essentially what's happening here is Google's very closely watching this keyword, and they're going to make some suggestions that people tend to use when they use that word. So as soon as I typed in patio installation, we got patio installation near Mountville, which is where I live and where I was when I typed this in. Patio installation near Lancaster, PA, because Google knows that's kind of the general approximate region. Patio installation near me. Patio installation cost. So now we're getting into some things, some ways people might search. How much does it cost to install a patio? Paver patio installation. How to install a patio, paver patio base, etc. So what essentially Google's telling me here is, if I'm interested in patio installation, there's a good chance I might also be interested in, or might more specifically be looking for, an installer near me, the cost to install, something like that. These are all great topics for your video. So, how to find a patio installation company, how much does a patio cost, paver patio, kind of get working pavers into it. Those types of things, Google's already telling me what they want to see. Now, if I scroll down a little bit on the Google page, there's another feature on Google called People Also Ask. So this is Google even further saying, if the results you see didn't quite answer your question, here's some other questions people ask. So how much does it cost to build a 12 by 12 patio? How much should I budget for a patio? How do I estimate a patio? All these questions here. Do patios add value to your home? Like, it's a perfect video to create if you do patio installation. So here we've got even more ideas of concepts. Google's just telling us for free, these are the kinds of things that people are looking for if you want patio installation. And then if you scroll to the bottom of the page, we have a whole other set, there's some duplicates, but another set of suggestions that Google might be looking for. So we've got patio contractors near me. So the kind of patio companies, best patio builders near me. So if we're trying to create videos that people are looking for and that addresses the questions people ask, the first thing we need to know is what questions are people asking. And if we're new in business, or if we just need some fresh ideas or fresh concepts, Google's a great place to go. And just by literally typing in your service or some variation of your service into Google, Google will give you, right here, we've got about a dozen different ideas for different ways that Google can point you in the direction of what people are searching for and what your videos should be about. So if we take those ideas now, we push them into our marketing funnel, if I'm, putting together a video strategy, I probably want to create a, find you video, something about like backyard patio ideas or something like that. Some of the search terms that people are searching for before they're ready to buy. And this would come out of like doing a couple different patio type searches. If you just search patios, I think ideas comes up, and inspiration, things like that. So I could create a video with backyard patio ideas, and I could show some of my projects and the jobs I've done, and just inspire people that are very early in the buyer's journey. Then for people that are a little further down, maybe they're doing some research, they want to know if they can trust me, patio costs. So we saw from Google over and over again how to estimate a patio, how much does a 12 by 12 patio cost, how much does it cost to install a patio. Google's telling us people want to know about the costs. So I probably want to create a video that gives people an idea of how much it costs to install a patio. And that transparency is going to build trust with your audience. When you say, here's how we estimate, different materials cost different amounts, we're not the cheapest out there because we really care about our work, but we're also not the most expensive. Those kind of things, that kind of conversation will build trust with your audience. So now we've got a way to kind of move people down the buyer's journey. And then you also saw on the last screen of Google, people are looking for best patio company near me, or, who do I choose as a patio company near me? Those kinds of questions. So we might want to create, patio company near me, or how to choose a patio company, or how to find the best patio company, something like that really hits the bottom of the funnel for people that are right about ready to buy, making sure that they find you and you've got the video content that comes up there. There's one slide that's not here, but anyway, there's another slide that I had in here. I must have accidentally deleted it. What's really nice when we're talking about search, one of the reasons I talk about search as sort of the basis of the video research and how video works is, first of all, a large percentage of most businesses' traffic will come from search. For local businesses, it's typically around 80%. For national businesses, it might be more like 60 to 70%. So if you're doing everything correctly, you got some advertising going, you're doing some email marketing, social marketing, still the majority of your traffic will often come from search. So that's one reason to focus on search. The other advantage is that video can hit a lot of different areas, a lot of different channels. And if you have videos, we talked about earlier, if you have a video on your page, how much more likely people are to click on your page right from search and then also convert. But Google really likes to see content in different places. And Google owns YouTube. Google's able to index your website. So if you create these videos and place them in a couple different places, like we'll talk about, you've got a much better chance to start driving people to your business and actually converting them over to your business. So hopefully by now we've got our ideas. We've got a list of videos we can create. We did a couple of Google searches. Like I said, you can take 15 minutes and come up with a list of 10 to 20 different ideas. Once you've done that, the next step is to start to kind of format your videos, to think about what that video might look like. And we've actually done a lot of A/B testing one video style versus another. And this is the one that for educational type video, this is the one that we found performs the best. And that's to have a 3 to 5 second hook. So essentially tell them what you're going to talk about, tell them why it's interesting. So if we're talking about how much does a patio cost, we might say, today we're going to cover, for those that are researching patios or interested in buying a patio, today we're going to talk about exactly how much a patio costs and how much you can decide, or how much you should, budget for your patio project. Just something really simple. If we took a little more time, we could definitely write a better hook, but 3 to 5 seconds, essentially getting them excited for the video and telling them and getting them wanting to connect with you. And then we can do a quick intro. So what I mean by that is then you can say your name, the business you're with, those types of things, so they know who they're talking to. And that should just be like 2 to 8 seconds. You can have your logo as you're talking. We'll talk about the editing tools. You can have your logo kind of appear on the screen, that type of stuff. So the hook, get them excited. Now tell them who you are, build some authority, and then you get into your main content. And for this type of educational video, 2 to 3 minutes is usually good, up to 5 minutes. If you're going more than 5 minutes, there's probably a better format than the type of video we're talking about today, but somewhere in that 2 to 5 minute range, ideally 2 to 3 would be ideal. And then don't forget at the end, just to wrap up with a call to action. So, do you want them to subscribe to the channel for more information? Should they check out your website to get more details? Just whatever you want to invite that customer to do. That should be part of your core marketing strategy. Be sure to include that at the end of these videos. All right, there's just a couple quick tips when we're thinking about video content. Some things to think about. First, your customer is the main character. So there's a book I talk about in some of the other educational sessions I do called The Story Brand. A lot of you may be familiar with it. It was written by Donald Miller. His core idea there in Story Brand, though, is that when you write content or create video content for your website, your customer always needs to be at the center of that. So some examples he uses, if you're a business owner, if your business story were like Star Wars, your customer would be Luke Skywalker and you'd be Yoda. Or if it's Lord of the Rings, your customer would be Frodo and you're Gandalf. You're sitting in the background and you're guiding that customer to what they need. So if you're in the real estate space, it's not about necessarily all the deals you've closed or things like that. It's about that customer who's maybe a little stressed right now with the buyer's market and kind of talking them through how you can meet them where they're at, realizing the things that they're dealing with and help them find that dream home for them. But so even like phrasing, you wouldn't say like, I can find your dream home or something. You say, we can find your dream home, or with these tips and ideas, you can find your dream home. Keeping them at the center of your story will really help your conversion rates and the connection you build with your customers. And then just speaking to that imaginary character. So if we have our customer in mind, we've got a persona for our customer. When you're doing your video, and we're going to talk about performance a little bit later, but one of the things that can really help connect with the audience is if you can imagine you're talking to that customer. So imagine, one of your favorite customers, something like that. And just imagine you're speaking directly to them in your video. It can help you, you don't want your video to sound too rehearsed, like you're reading a book. You don't want it to sound stiff and stodgy. And just having a kind of imaginary dialogue, I found, can really help me sometimes when recording some videos. And then get to the point. A lot of videos, especially these videos, if we're going for 2 to 3 minutes, we might have a tendency to ramble. We might feel like we need to add a lot of different explanatory notes and things. I mean, the digital space is a pretty snappy space. People are low on attention spans and a little more demanding. So it doesn't hurt just to write, do a really quick couple second hook, couple second introduction, and then get right to the meat of your content. That's something just to keep in mind there. And then these videos that we're talking about today should really be like 90% education and 10% promotion. So you'll see a better conversion rate if most of the time you spend in those videos is spent educating or even entertaining or encouraging your audience. And then 10% of them drives them back to your business. That's really going to at all levels of the funnel. Even the conversion videos should really be about educating your audience about your product, about your services, those kinds of things. And right at the end, or like 10% of that content should really hook them and pull them in as buyers. So the last thing here in the strategy phase is I recommend getting some type of a planner. I had the chance to interview a real estate coach. His name's Tom Ferry. He's got a huge YouTube presence and things like that. And I asked him on the podcast, what's his number one tip? And I'll reference him again because there's another. They actually gave me 2 tips, but one of his number one tips for video was that if it's not on your calendar, it won't get done. That's a really simple piece of advice. It seemed kind of like a no-brainer at the time, but it really hit me both for myself and for my clients. Videos that don't get put on a calendar somewhere, a time to capture the video, time to edit the video, those kind of things often just never get created. We're business owners. We get busy. It's so easy to get distracted, and the video can be pushed to the very last thing that we want to address. So this is and I can send this out. I'll talk about it at the end of it. I'm happy to share this with you guys. This is what I use. It's in Google Sheets, and basically it's got every day of the year, and I'll go through. And when I'm doing my idea sessions, it might be in Google, it might be somewhere else. I'll go through and I'll list all the different videos that we're going to create in that given month. And then in the stage here, I've got a selector where I can switch it out. So I can say what phase of the video it's in. So I can just have it that, I've scheduled the video to be shot at the very basic, or I've created the video. So it's kind of sitting there on my hard drive, ready to be published, or it's been published. And then I do the extra step of just having the done check mark there. It's just kind of nice to check it and say, oh, it's done. I've done everything I need to do. So, and then over on the other column, I've got the capture date. So if I've got a video that I want to publish on 12/1, I've got my capture date on 11/26, the week before, just so I know I've got some time to edit and those types of things. This also helps you batch your content a little bit. For a lot of us, again, we might be able to find a free hour somewhere, but we probably can't find, 5 to 10 minutes a day. It gets a little trickier. So one thing that can be easier when you're creating this video content, because it can take some time, is to just block out a chunk of time and knock out like 4 or 5 videos. If you're trying to release a video a week or 2 videos a month, try to get, those 2 videos that month just done both at the same time, and even maybe edited at the same time. We'll just talk about quick editing phases, just so you have it done and you've got it in your calendar. It's just ready to go that month. Batching your content can really help smooth it along, but having some type of planner can really help make the process easier. All right, now we're gonna talk about the setup. So some technical details here. First of all, the equipment you need. We're trying to go equipment light with this. So I did gear this whole presentation around using your smartphone. There are 2 things that will make the process a little bit easier. One is a tripod with a cold shoe. So if you look at this photo, I think we all know what a tripod is. It's a 3 legs that's going to hold your phone securely. It lets you put your phone some distance in front of you. You don't have to hold your phone. It's going to give some stability to your phone and just give a little more professional look. The one caveat I would add is if you can find a tripod, there are a bunch of them on YouTube. There are a bunch on Amazon. This one here is an example. I've actually got one behind me here. If you see here, there's a little kind of clasp at the top of this, and you can see it maybe more clearly in the picture there. What that allows you to do is that allows you to put a microphone on top of your phone. So the phones that are coming out right now are excellent. I mean, they're honestly better than a lot of the $600-700, even $1,000 cameras that you get. The camera on your phone is as good as that range of cameras. What they're not always great at is audio. So sometimes they have lower audio quality. So the other recommendation I have down there is an affordable mic. Affordable within reason. Microphones tend to be a little expensive. This one's $100, which could be a lot for a lot of us, but when you look at other microphones, $100 is actually fairly affordable for a really high quality microphone. But with a tripod and a microphone, that's the extent of the gear you need to shoot really professional videos. If that's a stretch, if you don't have an extra $100 in your budget, you could wait on the video. You're going to get a little closer to your camera and just realize your audio might not be quite as crystal clear as it could be. But you can certainly get started without the microphone. But the first upgrade I would make is the microphone. And going back to that tripod, that little cold shoe is just something that can sit on a tripod that allows you to clip the microphone on top of your phone. So with those 2 pieces of equipment, you are off to the races. You can create some exceptionally high quality video. The next thing is lighting. So you certainly can buy artificial light if you'd want. But what I find with a lot of really cheap artificial lights, sometimes they're not super helpful. So you see this set of photos here. The one on the upper left is maybe a traditional kind of house light. That's going to give like a really yellowish hue. It's going to have some harsh shadows, things like that. The next one over might be more of a fluorescent light or something like that. The next row down has what you might see if you get some cheap LED lights off Amazon or something like that. You'll see like the middle one there looks almost creepy. It's just got really harsh. It's right on the person's face. If you get some cheap LEDs that are kind of too bright and too harsh, you can get that effect there. The lighting you really want is that number 9 there, the bottom right-hand corner, where you've got a soft amount of light kind of all over the face, gently over the face. And to save money, you can get that effect with natural light, just being, natural sunlight. So I'd recommend, until you've got more proficiency with video, maybe hold off a little on buying any lights, but also don't just use your house lights. Try to get some sunlight in there. So let's talk about that a little bit. So the first is that if you have sunlight, if it's especially bright sunlight, you'll probably want to diffuse that sunlight. So what I mean by that is, if you've got a window and you're fortunate enough to have the sun kind of right in front of you, that kind of comes up in the south or whatever, hitting your face, that can be really bright and look a little harsh, kind of like the lower right there. So if you just have some translucent curtains, or just some curtains that'll filter the light a little bit, you can just pull those over. That would be better than having the sun directly on you. And you want a little bit of an angle on your lights, a little more natural to have the light kind of coming on more of a 45-degree angle on your face than right at your face. So if you can angle your desk a little bit, or angle wherever you're shooting the camera a little bit, so it's kind of coming at you like a 45-degree angle. And if you've got the sun beaming right in at you, maybe just put a soft curtain or something behind it to diffuse it a little bit. So those two things can help with natural light. I have this slide here. This is actually a documentary that's on Netflix. It was a heavily produced, really expensive documentary, but this is, I think, Yo-Yo Ma here. It was shot entirely with natural light. They just used the light in his kitchen to angle it correctly. They might have diffused it a little bit with a curtain or something, but they didn't use any artificial light for this, and it has a really nice professional look. So you can grow really well with your video, have a strong video presence before investing in any lighting. On the lighting, one more thing here: if you're going to shoot outside, which can be really nice. I mean, if you're, in real estate, or if you're a contractor, if you're doing, exterior modeling or painting, exterior shots can be really nice and add some visual interest to your videos. The two things to keep in mind, or two options that can work really well, are the for lighting would be the golden hour and the blue hour. So let me back up a little bit. The worst time of day to shoot outside is going to be noon, like 12 o'clock. You've got the sun coming right down. If you remember the pictures of that guy up there, that's what looking at really harsh shadows. It's not going to look great. In the hour right after sunrise and the hour before sunset, there's a nice hue. The hour before sunset's called the golden hour, and everything has a nice, golden tone. The hour after sunrise is called the blue hour, and it'll give more of a bluish hue. But both of those times can be really flattering for the project that you're trying to show off, or the home you're trying to show off. It's flattering for yourself, your skin, and things like that. So if you're shooting outside, I know it's not always fun to wake up, or to be out shooting an hour before or after sunrise. But if you can shoot at one of those time blocks, you'll get a much better look for it'll look really professional. You'll get a much better look on your videos. It'll make a really large difference. So I'd recommend at least experimenting with that, trying that, and seeing the difference that it makes if you're able to shoot some outside videos. All right. So that's lighting. And lighting is really key with videos. The next thing I want to talk about is sound. So getting a good sound quality for your videos. This is just a bit of sound science, just how sound works. There's something that can reduce the quality of videos. It's called reverb. And basically what happens, it sounds like an echo. It's not actually an echo, but it sounds echoey-ish in our ears. And that's when, if you're in a small room with a lot of hard surfaces, basically what's going to happen is the words are going to leave your mouth. The sound's going to leave your mouth, and your mic right here is going to pick that up immediately. Then it's going to bounce off a lot of places, and that same sound, that word is going to come back and hit your microphone. And it's like happens in just a microsecond, but it creates this weird echoey effect because the sound hits once and then hits twice. So you've got this less professional sound for your videos. So that's called reverb. It's one of the things that will for vocal presentation for your voice. I mean, it could be actually nice for music, but for your voice, it's going to lower the quality of your video. So two ways to reduce reverb. The one on the right here is actually a photo from an NPR host. So NPR hosts, when they go on the road, a couple of them have actually shared photos like this. They have, if you've ever listened to NPR, they've got a beautiful sound. They'll build pillow forts in their hotel rooms. And what's happening there is the sound hits the pillow and it doesn't bounce back. So you get a really nice, kind of treated sound very affordably. So if you're doing some videos, if you're going to be doing videos at your desktop or something like that, or have a place where you could put something soft, a blanket, some pillows behind the camera, that will catch some of that sound and reduce that reverb effect. alternatively, on the left here, if you have a room that has more soft elements in it, you got sofas and curtains and things like that, that'll kind of do the job for you. You have less echo than in a room with a lot of hard surfaces. So if you have a chance to shoot in a room like this where you've got some natural light, you've got pillows and sofas and things all around, that will help give you a higher sound quality also. All right, next I want to talk about camera positioning a bit. So if we've got our sound right, we've got our lighting where we want it to be, the next thing we need to be a little careful of is camera positioning. So we're going to talk about the rule of thirds. Number one, I recommend having the camera somewhat close to your eye level. And you might see in art films and things like that where you'll have a camera shooting straight up or straight down, but it's typically not the most flattering angle, and it creates actually weird power dynamics and different issues there when you have that. So we're going to want to think about keeping the camera somewhat eye level. It's like we're having a conversation with somebody. The next thing to think about is the rule of thirds. So if you can picture the frame, that's everything that's in your camera angle. You can picture some grid lines, like chopping it up into thirds. So we've got 3 columns and 3 rows. One of the most helpful angles would be to put yourself kind of in line with the third row. You're going to just do this in your imagination, but kind of if you picture that angle chopped up, put yourself angled in that kind of third row. That gives you some room to work with. It creates a nice effect. If you watch a lot of documentaries, you'll see very often the interviewers will put the person that's being interviewed on one of the left or right thirds. Doesn't have to be the left or right thirds. The center column can work in some videos. But one thing you definitely want to do is you want to keep that eye line on the upper third. So you can see here, I mean, he's right on the one grid line on the left and the top grid line. If we go human nature, sometimes we want to center everything. It's like a target. I'm going to put them right in the center. It really creates a kind of uncomfortable feeling right in the center. You've got a big gap on top. It just feels low, feels a little cramped. It's not a good look. So definitely keep that. You want to keep those eyes above there. Another thing, if we have the rule of thirds, sometimes we might be tempted to put our subject way to the edge of the frame, or put yourself at the edge of the frame. That also feels like you're kind of falling out of the frame. So we don't want to do that. This is really what we're looking for. So picture those grid lines, keep the camera eye level, and try to keep them either centered, or even a little bit better would be to kind of put yourself maybe on one of those grid lines. So you're still in the frame, but just shift it a little bit. All right. The third step here we're going to talk about is performance. So with clients, I mentioned the scheduling, and sometimes we get too busy for video. The other thing that I hear a lot is I just don't feel comfortable in video. I get on the camera and I clam up and I get really shy, something like that. I tend to have the same experience. So I can relate to a lot of my clients that feel that way. So I want to give a couple quick tips on how to feel more comfortable on camera and how to sound even better on camera. So when you're doing your video, when you sit down to shoot a video or you stand to shoot a video, I recommend going through a quick warm-up session. So when I do shoot, I don't shoot video for many of my clients. I try to kind of get them to shoot their own video, but there are a couple that I do the video work for them. We'll just sit down, we'll kind of go through some of these things just to kind of warm up. And this is something I do for myself. So first, posture, obviously sitting up straight. If you're standing up straight is going to, keep your diaphragm where it should be positioned. It's going to give you more vocal, more volume, it'll really help with that. So keep good posture throughout the whole video, but just mentally, just kind of get your posture right. Sipping on a warm drink helps. So if you have, some tea or some coffee, that can loosen up your vocal cords, especially if you're shooting early in the morning. Taking a deep breath. We've probably heard like meditation and the importance of like good breathing. Just taking some really deep breaths can really help loosen things up and set the tone and energy for the rest of the video. And then stretching your jaw. So if we tend to mumble, which I can do sometimes, just kind of, doing some jaw stretches can really help. And then finally practicing your vocal energy. So these are all tips that a couple different radio hosts, there's about 5 or 6 videos I've watched from different radio hosts, and these mostly come from them, but vocal energy is something they'll talk about a lot. And that just keeps you from sounding really flat. So when you're doing your warm up, I recommend, doing some practice and sounding almost overly enthusiastic, overly accentuate your the syllables and have, maybe more excitement in your voice, almost to a silly extent. And then you can dial it back a little bit for the video, but most people will sound too flat and a little too just dry on video. I see way more of that. Almost exclusively that than people being overly animated. So one way to kind of get in the zone and get in the mode of having some more vocal energy and enthusiasm in your video is just to overdo it a little bit in the practice and the warm up. And then finally, just visualize the presentation. So just take a minute to think through where you're going to stand, what it's going to look like, what you're going to say for that video. So that this all can happen in about 2 or 3 minutes, but I do recommend kind of walking through this, especially for your first couple videos. It can make you feel already a little more confident on camera. The next thing, there's an app. It's I believe, a free app I've downloaded. It's called Astound. It's actually I think my favorite app on my phone. It actually walks through all of that with you. So if you're concerned about the way you sound, the tone of your voice, the speed of your presentation, your ability to articulate, any of those things, Astound walks you through. It has exercises, and it walks you through a series of exercises. And you record your voice. So you read a bit of text before you do Astound. I think it takes like 3 minutes, like 3 to 5 minutes. You sit down, you go through the exercise, and then you record your voice again. And I was really amazed. I mean, just the difference in my voice, just, I mean, the tone of the voice changes. They have you do like different stretches. They have you say different speech patterns to loosen your tongue up. Just some of these exercises really help with some core elements of presenting yourself on video. So if this is something that you're a little uneasy about or uncomfortable about, the app Astound has just been really, really helpful for me. The next thing here, so going back to Tom Ferry, that interview is really instrumental for some of my video work because he does a lot with video and had some really good tips. So his first tip was about scheduling. The second tip, he recommended this book called Alter Ego, which I read. I don't know you have to read the book, but the concept was really important. And one of the questions I asked him, I said, for a lot of us, we don't feel as comfortable as you feel. Like I watch your YouTube videos, you've got a lot of energy, you bring a lot of enthusiasm. For some of us, we're more shy, we're more reserved. It would just feel weird to do that on camera. And his advice was to look at this book called Alter Ego. And essentially he said, most people we see, influencers, YouTube influencers, whatever that might be, the way we see them on YouTube is not the way they interact, in everyday life. It would be almost annoying. They're not going to bring that much energy and charisma to every conversation they have. He said, so there's like an old acting tip, and that's just kind of transitioning into a character basically on your videos. So his recommendation was before you do a video, whether you're talking about plumbing or real estate or financial advisory, any of those things, still picture an alter ego. Picture a person who's maybe more confident, who's going to have a certain level of enthusiasm, and just become that person on camera. You kind of leave your own insecurities and negative emotions aside, and you just become that. So that might be too woo-woo for some people. I mean, it's been helpful for me just psychologically to picture the ego that, the person that I want to be, the character that you want to be on video, and try to adopt that. Is maybe a mental exercise you can go through to be a little more comfortable on camera and lose some of that self-consciousness that comes along with being on camera. All right. The next step here is editing. So once you've got your camera set up, you've done all the technical things we've talked about, you've captured your video, you've performed, you've delivered your presentation, you've talked about the topics we did in our research phase. The next step is to edit. So there are a lot of different ways to edit. I'll show some free tools at the end. For beginners, there's a tool called Premiere Rush. And if you're editing on your phone, this works on Android and iPhones. It can also, if you do a little bit of editing on your phone, you can then open the same file on your computer and you can adjust it even further. It's just a really easy tool to get into video editing. But the process you go through, if you have Premiere Rush, is really simple. Essentially, imagine you've got your phone or your tripod, you've just finished your video, you'll just pick up your phone, and when you first open it, you'll see on the left there, you've got something called Add Media. So this is the first screen you see. You tap Add Media, and if you have a couple video clips, you would just go through and add all of those. You kind of tap them right on your camera roll like you all seen before, and you click Create. And that's going to put all the clips that you have, whether it's one or a couple, all in one time, what's called a timeline. So it's these are called like linear video editors. So it's going to put just like a film strip, like you have at the bottom of a YouTube video. It'll put all of your clips in order. So the next thing you want to do is trim, split, and delete. So once you have your video there, you can literally swipe your finger down the part. So if you have some ums and uhs, or more than likely, if you're shooting with a tripod, the beginning of that video is going to be you kind of setting up the tripod and things you don't want in your video. So you can slice those ends off. You can slice off any moments that weren't quite right. And then you just get the video down to the way you want it to appear. So the first step is to go through, watch anything you want to cut, and just with this tool, if you're on your phone, you literally start, slicing where you want to slice, click the split button, and you kind of cut out some sections that you maybe just want to remove. You just tap on them and hit the delete button, and you can cut those ums and uhs and awkward beginnings off the video. The next thing is to add graphics and titles. Like I said, if in your intro part, the section there, you want your logo to come on the video, this is where you can do that. You tap graphics and you can drag in graphics and things. They have custom graphics. So if you had an or it can look a little bit if you just cut it and delete it, because maybe you're positioned here and then you said something you didn't want to have on the video and now you're positioned over here. So you'll just jump. The video will just jump if you make that split or that edit. So there's some videos here called transition graphics that'll just kind of have some stuff slide over the video, which makes it a little smoother to go from one position to another position. Or if you're going to capture some shots of some B-roll, let's say that you are a painter and you just want to have a couple clips of the work you did. Maybe you talked through it and then you just kind of took with your phone, took a couple clips of the work you've done. A transition like that can help smooth the transition from you talking to the what we call B-roll, to the clips of the work that was done, and those kinds of things that will be played while you're still talking. Or lower thirds, if you've done an interview, maybe you're getting some client testimonials, which can be another good video, or you just want to introduce yourself and you would have like your name and job title appear at the bottom of the screen. All of that's in graphics. So all those things, logos, transitions, all those things you can drag really easily right onto the timeline here. Just pop them on your video right on your phone. And then finally, sounds and music. It's really amazing. The music side of this, especially, sound is usually a little bit more advanced. It can be nice to add some sounds, but music, at least, it's amazing how much energy music can bring to videos. I mean, I'll be transparent. So some of the clients that I'll shoot they don't have that vocal energy necessarily they're bringing to the camera, that charisma. But even some pretty dry speakers, if you just put some energetic music behind it, it'll add a huge level of enthusiasm and interest in the video. So that can work really well too. So you've got that opportunity here. There's actually in Premiere Rush some free music you can use, a whole library of everything from folk to more corporate sounding things, hip hop beats, whatever you want to put behind that. There's a whole variety of those things that you can drop into the back of your video. All right, so that's really the process. We're going to drop the video stuff in. We'll trim it to get where we want. We'll put some graphics on the video, maybe add some music if it's the right fit, and then you're good to go. And then right from Premiere Rush, actually, you can upload it right to YouTube or wherever the video is supposed to go. That is $10 a month. And like I said, I want to offer some budget options. Like I said, so far the expenses we've talked about is a mic if you can, but again, that's optional. And then this Premiere Rush, if that's a stretch, you're just starting out, there are 2 free tools that are quite good. The reason I don't recommend them or don't do the training with them is for 2 reasons. One, the top one here, DaVinci Resolve, is a free video editor. It works on computers. So I try to keep it you can do everything in a way that you can do everything on your cell phone if that's all you have time to do, your smartphone. DaVinci Resolve has to run on computers. The other thing is DaVinci Resolve is a little bit more complex. Actually, a lot of the movies and television shows that you've watched, if you've watched it in the past month, were probably edited on DaVinci Resolve. It's a commercial level editing tool, and it's actually free. There's a paid version, but you get most of the features for free. So that's one option. It has to be done on the computer, and there'll be a little bit more of a learning curve. It's a little more complex, but there's a lot of YouTube videos on how to use it. So if you're trying to save money, DaVinci Resolve can be a great place to start. Second is iMovie. So iMovie is very similar to Premiere Rush. Actually, your workflow will be almost exactly what we covered on the last screen, but it's just for iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, you want to save some money, you can definitely start with iMovie. It's still a great editor. Like I said, the workflow is almost exactly to what we showed on the last screen. You can just apply those steps, but it's just for iPhone. So if you're on Android, it would not be accessible to you. So those are 2 free options. If you're on Android, you can do the DaVinci Resolve editing on your desktop, or if you just feel more comfortable in a desktop editor, that's a great option. If you have an iPhone and want to save that $10 a month, iMovie is a great option to edit right on your phone. All right, last step here. So we've got our video, we've edited it in one of the tools we talked about. It's sitting there, and the next step we want to do is promote it. So a process that I've seen work for a lot of clients, and this speaks to some of the SEO results and things we talked about earlier on, is to create the video using the steps we just talked about, and then transcribe the video. So you can either write out what you talked about, which would be a lot of work, or there's a tool called rev.com that will transcribe your video. It's about $1.25 a minute. So if you do a 4-minute video, it would be about $5. If you're a 2-minute video, it's going to be, $2.50. It's still very affordable. And they'll actually take the whole text of your video and send it to you in a Word file. So then once you have your video and you've got your transcription, we've got those 2 assets, you want to post your video on YouTube with a compelling thumbnail. So one of the things that we didn't talk about yet is thumbnails. So if a video appears in a search engine result, or if it's sitting on your website in a blog post somewhere, or if it's right on YouTube and you're seeing a list of videos and your video comes up, what the only thing people see is this image you have called a thumbnail. So the better design that is, the more likely they are to click on it. Now there's a nice tool called canva.com. A lot of you probably heard of it. It's a free graphic editor. So if you go to canva.com, you can sign up for a free account, and then you can just search YouTube thumbnails. And there are literally thousands and thousands of YouTube thumbnails in there. And you can just use one of those pre-designed YouTube thumbnails. The way Canva works is they'll give you the template, and you just drag in the images. So you can drag in your logo. You can maybe change some of the colors to match your colors, but you can have a really nicely designed thumbnail that's very eye-catching without hiring a graphic designer or anything like that. So, so one of the things you want to do is, for your videos that you want to promote especially heavily, to grab one of those thumbnails. And then now we've got the video sitting on YouTube with a good thumbnail. We've got our transcript from rev.com or one we wrote out. So now we'll go to our website and either have your web designer or you yourself can go to your website and post the video to your website as a blog post or something like that, and then just paste that transcript. So now we've got on YouTube, we've answered some questions. We've got some video content that work well on YouTube. And we also have on our website that video content and it's written out, which makes it easier for Google to index it. People can engage with it, read it, et cetera. So now we've got 2 pieces of content from one video. And then we're going to take that video, now it's on our blog and on our video, and then we'll just post it to social. We'll start promoting it. So you can put it out to social. If you have an email newsletter, you can push it out to an email newsletter. If you've got some ad budget, you can even, look to Facebook, and YouTube ads are actually some of the easiest ads to run. So if you want to get a little attention, maybe you're just starting out, you don't have a huge audience yet, you can put like $50, $100 into a small YouTube budget and get hundreds or thousands of views. You can also pick who you want to see the video. So obviously work with your score mentor or something to identify who your target is, and you can get that video in front of them. That's an optional step, but basically once you have that video, you can use it in a variety of ways. It can be the sum or the backbone of your social media strategy. It gives you that blog strategy. It supports your SEO strategy. It can be the main thing you feature in your newsletter. And like I said, for paid channels, it can be very easy to get it and kind of boost it a little bit and get a little bit more attention. All right, so I've included a 30-day checklist here. You can send the slides out. Basically, if in 30 days we're going to launch a video marketing plan, the core steps I'd recommend. I kind of have this just so you can kind of keep it with you and kind of, put some clear tasks into what was a 45-minute presentation. First, create a list of ideas. Go to Google, make your list of ideas, schedule your videos. So put some time on your Outlook calendar, your Google Calendar, when you're actually going to capture and edit those videos. Get out there and shoot at least the first 3 videos. It gets way easier after 3 videos. I don't know why. That just seems to be a breaking point for a lot of people. The first 3 are super awkward and uncomfortable, but once you've done 3, it gets a lot smoother. So just get out there, schedule it, shoot those 3 videos, get on Canva, create your template, and then go ahead and publish those to your website and your blog posts and see how the results go from there. All right, so we've got, I did want to leave time for questions here. So we've got a little more than 15 minutes for questions. Just real quick, if you want the presentation slides or that video planner Google sheet that I showed, you can email me, adam@bootstraplocal.com. I'm happy to send those over for free. There's also something that I'm just starting now. A couple other business owners I've talked to are in the same place. It's kind of, we're all, being videographers without being professional videographers. So I'm starting a group of people that it's a free kind of peer review and accountability group. We'll meet like every other week, and we'll just share the videos we created, ask for feedback on those videos, and then also just have some accountability. So if we say we're going to shoot 3 videos this week and publish 3 videos this week, we'll all kind of hold ourselves accountable to do that. So if that's something you'd be interested in, like I said, it's a free thing. It's a pretty organic thing that's just been growing with a couple of people I talked to. I'd be happy to invite you to that and include you in that. So my email's right there. Feel free to let me know if you have questions or want the slides or the video planner. All right. So we've got time here. Any questions? See, it looks like there are a couple in the chat. Send the deck. Yeah, Score can send the slides too. I can send it to Score if that's easy.
Yeah, either way, Adam.
Cool. And someone else asked for the slides, so I will just grab their email and send the slides over to them.
Okay.
Excuse my notes here for a second. All right. I saved that. All right. Any other questions that are not in the chat window? Then what was the name of the video, the paid video program? So let me go back here. I'll save this for the slides. All right. So the paid program was Premiere Rush. So you'll see that in both app stores. You should see that in the Android store. You'll also see it in the Apple store. That's the tool. That's like I said, super easy to use. The other 2 free options were DaVinci Resolve and iMovie. All right. Any advice for videos that wouldn't directly feature a talking head? Yes. So there are a lot of options for that. So if you're not actually, I have some clients that are in the plane community. So they have an Amish background or something, and they actually still have, they've got smartphones, they're able to use their smartphones, but some of their bishops are not quite comfortable with them appearing on camera. So you can do a voiceover type video. So in that case, a lot of those are builders and things, but sometimes they'll just do a video walkthrough. So they'll have the good microphone. And you can actually point the microphone backwards for something like this if you have the tripods I've shown you. So you can point the microphone at you and you can just walk through your project. So you can show off, or if you're in the real estate space, you can show off the home you're featuring or something like that. And you can just show what's on camera, and you can still speak, just say the same things you would say, but it takes some of the pressure off too, because you're showing your work. You're not showing your face. That's totally fine. Those can work really well. There are a lot of huge YouTube channels that have grown that way. That can work great. If you're in more of the tech space, so if you're like me, if you're marketing, if you're in accounting, something like that, screen share videos can work really well. So with Zoom or Google Meet or something like that, if you're on a Mac, QuickTime can do it. You can just record a screen share. So you can put a presentation together like I did today, probably shorter than this, but you can put some slides together and just do it. I've worked with some people that do big like data management. They're like Procore and like doing like large like software development type stuff. And for them, tutorials can work really well. They'll just pull up the software, share their screen, and walk people through it without ever showing their face. So we can talk a little bit more about that. Steve, can we unmute people? I think people might be muted. Sorry. If that
I have been asking people to unmute.
Oh, they can unmute themselves. Okay, gotcha.
They can unmute themselves, yes.
So if we want to talk more about what a non-talking head video could look like, I mean, there's so many options. Those are just two examples, but yeah, let me know. We can certainly talk more about that, but those are two off the top of my head. All right. What other places do you post other than YouTube? What are my thoughts on TikTok was the other one. All right. So there are so many more places. So I covered a workflow that basically covers like the sales flow for a kind of lead generation business, but it is like one of hundreds of options for video. So what I like about this is that if you just follow this pathway, it typically generates a lot of leads. But there are a lot of other platforms. So you got TikTok, like you mentioned your question. And then, so that's gonna be a vertical video, typically about a minute. And it's gonna be sort of high energy usually. There's like some music in the background very often, something like that. And the same format goes on Instagram with Reels and then YouTube for Shorts. So there's a place for these vertically shot kind of high energy type videos for business for sure. It would be a different workflow than I talked about here in that like, it's not going to necessarily net the search results, but it can get you a lot of awareness for your business. It can be a really good video. So I do like that. If you're going to do that, forget the rule of thirds I talked about. Keep yourself in the center of the frame. A little more, you're going to hold your phone vertically. Like I have my phone set up here horizontally to shoot a video, obviously. So instead of shooting like this, shoot like this. But it could work really well for product. If you got e-commerce product, if you're a coaching company or do some coaching where like you have a national audience, those are really good. If you've got a local audience, I like YouTube because it can really be good for local SEO and for localized social media. But if you're going after a national audience, Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts are all fantastic for getting a lot of attention really quickly. And that's where I don't know, it's a free thing, so I guess I can't over promote it. But that's where like if anybody's really interested, that peer group. I've got 45 minutes. There's so much we can do with video. And I'm hoping that we can all kind of help each other get different formats of videos too. Because I've got some clients are starting there. I've got a friend actually who's got like 80,000 followers on TikTok, and he just blew up a real estate investment brand on TikTok. And I think I'll have him share some of his insights and stuff. It can be really powerful. But like I said, for the sake of this presentation, I was trying to kind of stick to a format that works for the widest variety of people. Yep, Claire, I saw that. I will send you the slides for sure. All right, tips on free music. Yes. Someone asked if there's tips for free music. So if you're not using Premiere Rush, I believe Premiere Rush has free music built in. And I think iMovie does too. But if you're going to be using DaVinci or you just want a wider variety of music, I'm going to share my screen here. Let me see my inbox. All right. If you just Google YouTube audio library. All right. So if you Google YouTube audio library, and if the video is going to be on YouTube, they have a huge library of free music. So this is all free. It's from YouTube. You can use it in your video, and you can see here, you can actually, there's sound effects. You can sort by like the mood. So if I want happy or like dramatic, and then you can just play it really quickly. You can listen to the different clips and things like that. So if you're not pulling it right from your editing tools, YouTube audio library is probably my favorite go-to source. There are a couple other ones around the web, but that should give you enough to get started. All right, that's the last question. Any other questions about creating the videos.
Adam, I have a question. I hope you didn't already answer this. I was taking notes.
Yes.
Vertical versus horizontal. Is
vertical
one
versus
of those preferred based on the social media channel, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So vertical versus horizontal. Yeah. It depends on the context. Like you said, if it's going to live on your website and it's going to live on YouTube as a sort of one of these like 2 to 3 minute resource type videos.
Yes.
Then I would recommend doing horizontal. That's typically when you embed something on your website, it sits horizontally a little bit more. And it's going to on YouTube, if you just click through YouTube, you're going to want it to be horizontal. If you're watching a 3-minute videos, your vertical videos will have big black bars on the side, so you'll see your video, right, and then YouTube will fill in with black bars. If you're doing a lot of different types of, if you're trying to do like the reels, the TikTok shorts or YouTube shorts, reels, and TikTok videos, then vertical is much better. You want it to be vertical. And then as you get more advanced, I'd say like level 2, moving up from there, would be to actually shoot a little wider. So wider being you're out of the shot a little bit. Okay. And then you can actually crop both ways. So in your editing tool, if you shoot wide, I've got a lot of, if you can see as I sit back from the camera here, I've got more frame to work with. You can then in your video editing tool crop it so you have a vertical one, and then crop it separately on YouTube so you have a a
interesting
one.
Thank you.
So yeah. All right. Thoughts on audio video donut for branding? I have not come across video donut before. Yeah, if anybody wants to talk more about that, that's actually not a tool I have come across.
This is Mike. I'm the one that asked the question, and what we were explained is the audio video donut is the like the intro and exit, where you would use it in every video, like if you're posting on YouTube, right, where it would introduce your company, and then it would sign off with your company website and things like that. I was more interested in, do you think that's like a valuable tool? Do you think it's necessary? Does it take away from the informality of a lot of the videos that would allow people just to connect with what you're saying? So I just wanted your general thoughts on that.
Yeah, I haven't, I've heard the term, but yeah, so we did test that. So back to that video format slide, we ran some tests with some of my clients on let's see here, where's that slide here? Different formats. So we tried, if you can picture this, we tried doing like the intro first, which would be something like that, where like you have some like, a hype reel or something, or you've got some, different thing, like maybe just a logo comes in first, and like a little sound plays, and then you go into the video. That works really well for long form, like podcasts. So if you're doing a video podcast, a lot of podcasts will start with something like that. It did not work well for this style of video. And I think the reason I think is that people are just a little bit impatient. So the videos where you see someone's face right at the beginning and they tell you what you're going to expect, performed far better. We had higher engagement, longer view times. They're more sticky. So if you're going to do an intro with some different footage or things like that, I would recommend putting it in a little further into the video. So get your 3 to 5 second hook and then do that. And you'll see that. I mean, I think if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, different YouTubers and tech space or just fun space, whatever, you'll see maybe a little more of a shift to that, where you'll see that hook and then they'll kind of do their hype reel. Some people are still doing the one in the beginning, but we did test that pretty heavily. I wouldn't put that just in the beginning, because I think what happens is those first 3 to 5 seconds are critical. I mean, it sounds like a very short period of time, but people are so impatient. There are a percentage of people that if they haven't been hooked in the first 3 to 5 seconds, they'll click on to the next video, especially if they're doing research. If I'm trying to figure out like really quickly, do I, let's say you're a financial advisor, like, do I want to, should I convert my IRA into a 401k or something? I'm going to click through a couple videos to see the person that hooks me really quickly and gives me the answer quickly. So yeah, so for a lot of this style of video, it's okay to do it like a branded sequence, like a couple second branded sequence, but I would just be sure to get that 3 to 5 second hook first and then the intro. And then as far as one at the end of the video, like a kind of a simple closeout, that can work well for branding. I guess probably the second part of that question is like, should you have one or shouldn't you have one? I think I would do some type of intro in the video. I would get your logo in the video if you can. So like Ahrefs is a big search marketing brand. You'll see like they don't believe they have any anymore, but they'll just have the logo kind of slide across the screen. Trying to think if they have one now, but you'll see some businesses where they'll say the hook, then they'll say their name and where they're from. But while they're saying their name, you get some branding that kind of sneaks it, because it is good to have some branding in your video. You'll have some branding like slides up on the screen, especially if you follow that rule of thirds. You've got all this to work on your editor, right? So if you picture me in this frame here, I'm off to the side. Now I've got some white space or something there where you can bring in a logo or bring in a website, those kind of things. So yeah, so I think it is good to have something like that, some type of branding in the video, but I just won't put it right at the beginning of the video. Does that generally answer what you're thinking there, or?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping to hear, actually. Great. Thank you.
Answer. All right, let me go back to chat. Oops, that's not chat. Yeah, so examples of work that I've done, some different examples. So yeah, so there are 2 clients that I'm working with that do this very actively. The one I look for, they're very involved with SCORE, actually. It's Susquehanna Insurance. I can actually pull them up here. So give them a little shout out. So if you look at Susquehanna Insurance, Matt Turman over there, he's been doing this for about 18 months. We meet every month and we work through just what they're doing. So if you go to Susquehanna Insurance, you go to articles, you can see here, Matt's been just consistently once or twice a month, he creates a video with his smartphone. So he's following this process almost exactly. He actually uses Premiere Rush to edit. I mean, I don't think he deviates from the plan at all. So yeah, so he just captures a really simple video, and he might have a little intro there, which I'll talk to him about that. But anyway, he a lot of them are at his desk. Sometimes they're out in the field, but he just shoots a video with his smartphone. He goes to rev.com, he gets the transcript, and he puts then the transcript up there. What's been cool is after about 6 to 7 months, we saw huge inbound results. I mean, he just shared his numbers with me. I can't share the exact numbers. I'll try to get permission from him, but some significant real business growth that we've tracked down to growth from Google that ties into these videos that he's doing. So a noticeable increase in business year over year, comparison, month or, this month compared to what was happening last month, from basically just doing this strategy. So that's the one that's probably the most, I can say, is the most like data centric. The other thing I like is like Matt is good on camera, but he's not going overkill. I mean, they're simple videos or just shot with an iPhone. I think it's kind of inspiring that what can be accomplished. It's some really large business growth numbers, just capturing videos with an iPhone and just following this process. Sod Metal Recycling would be another one that I'm working with. We've got them working the different, they're a little more all over the place. I mean, they'll do some TikTok style videos. They'll do a whole variety of different videos, but they are very active with their video content. Yeah, so those would be 2. If you're looking for kind of inspiration examples of people actually doing this, Sod would be one. If you're looking for a wide variety of different types of videos, and Matt would be one that's probably more like exactly what we just talked about today. All right. Any other questions? And I know Lori's kicking off her video strategy. So once those are in play, that'll be next. All right. Cool. Well, thanks everybody. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I think you have my email. I shared that at the end. If questions come up, feel free to let me know. I'd be happy to talk through them afterwards.